Last time we saw the line 94.18. At once she seemed to found a mightier race. At once she seemed to found a mightier race. Well, she has just taken birth, and her very birth means the arrival of a mightier race. Mightier is not simply comparative in the sense that it is mightier than man, mightier than mental being. Mightier by itself means something which is very powerful, which is going to be absolutely dynamic in its action and results. Something which is going to change things. What man cannot do, it is that race which will do. And the purpose of Savitri's coming is to found a mightier race. Now, this may appear to us something like a hyperbolic statement. She is about to take birth, and the poet is saying she is going to found a mightier race. For our minds, it appears too hyperbolic, too far-fetched, too large a kind of a statement. But it is not actually that. It is an occult action, an action which is bound to produce its results. On the physical plane, it may take time. It may occur in the course of events and developments. But in the occult plane, it has already been done. It has happened already. And therefore, when she is about to enter the earth's atmosphere, her occult birth, the very fact of her taking a mortal birth, that is a sufficient indication that something tremendous is going to happen. So it is essentially an occult statement of a mightier race appearing here. She is coming here in the earth atmosphere, and therefore it is bound to produce something great, something very powerful, something majestic, whatever you want to call it, you see. So, this is a statement of an occult event which is about to take place. On the physical plane, we may not be able to see those things immediately, but that does not mean that they are not going to happen. At once she seemed to found a mightier race, arrived upon the strange and dubious globe. The child, remembering inly a far home, lived guarded in a spirit's luminous cell, alone mid men in her diviner kind. That is already the radiant nature of the one who is going to take birth here. Arrived upon the strange and dubious globe. Well, strange, obviously, we are all strange creatures, and it is dubious also. Dubious because there are always conflicting forces operating in this world. The forces of the lower existence, the forces of the higher existence, the inconscient forces, the superconscient forces, and the balance of their actions is something which cannot be immediately predicted. Therefore, it is dubious. Whether it will happen this way or it will happen that way, one is not certain about it. In other words, we might say that it is the working of what one would call fate in the mortal circumstances. Nature, fate, the divine soul, the divine power, all of them are working simultaneously together here. And what is going to happen at a given instant of time that nobody can see. Therefore, it is dubious. The child remembering inly a far home. She already knows her origin, her source, where from she is coming, the home, the world to which she belongs. She has a faint recollection of it already. Although she is going to appear on the earth, going to take the full aspect of human existence in her consciousness, in her body, everywhere. She has something within her which remembers all the while, well, she is coming from a different source, from the divine source itself, you see. The child remembering inly a far home, the veil of nature is there, the human instrument has to form, and therefore whatever is going to happen has to happen inly to begin with, before it becomes outwardly. Live guarded in a spirit's luminous cell. She has been under the divine protection. She has come here as a missioned child, and that missioned child also carries all along both things, the divine protection and the divine guidance. There is something in Savitri which is always open to that divine guidance, and at crucial junctures in her yogic pursuit, she does things the way they have got to be done in a divine manner. Lived guarded in a spirit's luminous cell, alone met men in her diviner kind. Well, she has accepted human life, the conditions of humanity, yet her diviner aspect remains always with her. That does not go away. There might be the veil of ignorance, veil put on for a certain purpose, because it is through that veil things had to be got done, and therefore the veil is there. Yet that diviner connection is also there, helping and guiding her. Even in her childish movements could be felt the nearness of a light still kept from earth. We are not aware of that light which is close to us, but this child, this girl, she is already aware of it. Even in her childish movements could be felt the nearness of a light still kept from earth, feeling that only eternity could share thoughts natural and native to the gods, the way the gods would think about this creation, about the kind of work they had to do here. It is in that manner this girl is already thinking, feeling that only eternity could share thoughts natural and native to the gods. All those godly elements are present in her. In fact, as we have seen on a couple of earlier occasions also, the mother said, and of course Savitri also tells to death here later on, that all the sons are conscient in my birth, in my body, right from the beginning, conscient in my body, right from the beginning, at the birth itself. So thoughts natural to gods is a relatively small matter. She is much beyond that, God's feelings. Yes, she can embrace everybody in her embrace. She can hold the entire world. In fact, there is a very beautiful statement by the mother. Let me just read it. Love is a supreme force. It is that which comes down here when the divine incarnation takes place. Love is the supreme force which the eternal consciousness sent down from itself. The eternal consciousness from itself has sent down the supreme force, and that supreme force is love from itself into an obscure and darkened world. That is what the divine birth is. It is an immense act of grace, of love, of whatever you want to call it, which has come down here because it is an act which is coming straight from the Supreme. From the Supreme Consciousness force, He sends a force down here, Supreme here, and it is that love. And it is because of that love things can happen here. Happen where? In the obscured and darkened world. Now, this is a very beautiful phrase. The mother is very careful, again, in her use of words, so to say. Into an obscured and darkened world. It is not in an obscure and darkened world. It is not in an obscure and dark world. It is an obscured and darkened world. That is the important distinction. The divine creation cannot be an obscure creation. It cannot be a dark creation. It has happened here. It got obscured. It got darkened. Whatever be the mechanism, it has happened here. And therefore, it is in this obscured and darkened world, the Supreme sends His incarnation as love. And it is that love, she at once seems to found a mightier race. It is the purpose of that to found, to establish that mightier race immediately here. As needing nothing, what does she need? Nothing, obviously, but its own rapt flight. Her nature dwelt in a strong, separate air, separate from the worldly air, like a strange bird with large, rich, colored breast. The sojourns on a secret fruited bough, lost in the emerald glory of the woods, or flies above divine, unreachable tops. That is how she comes, a bird which flies above the unreachable tops. Like a strange bird with large, rich-colored breast, that sojourns on a secret fruited bough, lost in the emerald glory, of course, of the trees, the green forest trees, you see, of the woods, or flies above divine, unreachable tops. The mountains are there, the rivers are there, the whole nature is there. Above all that, she is flying, she is moving around on the tops of these summits above, lost in the emerald glory. It is, you see, this bird, like a strange bird with large, rich-colored breast, flying above unreachable tops. See, there is a description in the Ramayana. The poet describes 7 types of birds. And depending upon the quality of the food they eat, they fly at different altitudes. Sparrows, robins, they'll fly at a low height, maybe 30-40 feet above, not more than that, they cannot go. Then the whole hierarchy of birds is described, and ultimately the eagle, the divine eagle, it is that which flies at the topmost height in the stratosphere. Now here is a bird, large, rich-colored breast, which flies even above the troposphere, above the divine, unreachable tops. So this is a 7, 8 kind of a bird, what we have got here, beyond Ramayana. Now, why Ramayana is describing those 7 birds? It is a very beautiful connection also. See, perhaps you are aware of the story of Ramayana, at least briefly. Sita has been abducted by Ravana, and she is kept in the Ashoka forest, and nobody knows about her whereabouts, where she is there, where she is. So, while the search party is going from place to place, that party meets an eagle, a vulture, very powerful vulture, who is wounded, but who is sitting on the top of a mountain. His name is in the Mahabharata Sampati. And he tells the search party, I know what you are looking for. From this distance, I can see miles and miles, hundreds and hundreds of miles away, and there is a little spot there down below in the south, in the forest, and it is in that forest this lady is kept, Sita. And he tells that we belong to that category of birds who fly at the topmost heights. And by the virtue of that capacity of ours, we are able to locate things from a distance and say, here it is, it is there. And the party follows the instructions, and ultimately, of course, traces the presence of Sita there, like that. So here is a bird of a totally different category. Flies above divine, unreachable tops. The quality of the food they eat, it is that which determines their physical capacities also. So this bird, this Savitri, must be eating really a different type of heavenly food. Harmoniously, she impressed the earth with heaven. In fact, that has been her mission, to make them close to each other, bring heaven and earth closer. Aligned to a swift rhythm of sheer delight, and singing to themselves as days went by. So, Savitri girl is growing swiftly, rapidly, and singing to themselves as days went by. Each minute was a throb of beauty's heart. The hours were tuned with sweet-toned content, which asked for nothing but took all life, gave sovereignly as her nature's inborn right. Near was the spirit to its parent son. That is the quality of Savitri. Always a spirit next to her father, parent, son. Savitri, she is a daughter of sun god, Savitra. and she is always close to him. Although she has taken human birth, her connection with her father is eternal, is interminable. It is always there. The breath within to the eternal joy. The first fair life that breaks from nature's swoon. That is what happens when the baby comes to some kind of a living consciousness. He starts looking around and wondering about his whole world, what is here, what is there, and all that. The first nature swoon, she has been wrapped in the circumstances of nature, oblivious of every existence. It is a kind of a shock also that the soul, when it enters into the earth atmosphere, suddenly feels a difference there. But it falls asleep. The first fair life that breaks from nature's swoon mounts in a line of rapture to the skies, absorbed in its own happy urge. It lives, sufficient to itself, yet turned to all. That is the simplicity of a baby, of a child, of a growing soul. Sufficient to itself. It is always in its own psychic contact and lives in the psychic world all along. No mental formation is there, no passion, no life force is there. The body is not rigid. Everything is molded by the psychic perception. It has no seen communion with its world. You do not see the connection between the surroundings and what the baby is here. It has no seen communion. It looks as if it has entered into a strange and new world altogether. No open canvas with surrounding things. Well, this is what happens in the case of a baby, just a few months perhaps old, maybe a couple of weeks perhaps, you see, and it will simply keep on gazing all around without seeing what it is all. No open canvas, yet it is communicating lots and lots of things to those who understand. There is a oneness, native and occult. It is that identity of the soul which establishes oneness with everybody. And also, of course, it is the occult that needs no instruments and erects no form. That oneness does not need instruments, in the sense that it need not have a brain formed, it need not have a heart with passion and love and feelings. It is just there. That pure psychic perception is there. That needs no instruments and erects no form. No form because no mind has come into existence form. And therefore it cannot give any contour, any shape to what is around here. Well, this is basically a wonderful description of the condition of a newly born baby. And I don't know whether we have anywhere in our medical literature or elsewhere a discussion of this kind. You see, of course, the mother has spoken about some of these things in her talks. In unison, it grows with all that is, all contacts it assumes into its strand. So it remains always self-assured. The soul always remains self-assured because no instruments have got yet formed. Neither the physical, nor the mental, nor the vital, they are there. So it remains self-assured all the while. Love-tossed, consents to the winds it kiss and takes transportingly the shocks of sun and breeze. Well, it bears all the things. The parents are there, the mother is there, the fond mother is there to take care of the child. Still, it feels all the environmental impacts in its own manner. It may not be able to transcribe those impacts in a language we understand, but if there is sadness in the house, if there is joy in the house, if there is something unusual happening in the house, the child perceives immediately. It has its own way of knowing those things, and it responds also in a similar manner. Love toss consent to the winds kiss, and takes transmutedly shocks of sun and breeze. A blissful yearning riots in its leaves, a magic passion trembles in its bloom, its boughs aspire in hushed felicity. So this is the description of a small little tree which is growing. This little baby, it's kind of a small little tree. Shocks of sun and breeze, that is what a little sapling will have to bear. This little sapling will have to bear sun and breeze. Yearning riots of its leaves, the leaves are rustling because of the wind. A magic passion trembles in its bloom when it starts opening out. There is a kind of a magic passion. Its boughs aspire in hushed felicity. Very poetic description. You see, it is a kind of a transferred description to the tree, the sapling which is growing. An awful Godhead or this beauty is caused. Wherefrom has the beauty come? Because of that beauty is an awful God. It is that awful God who is looking after the child all along, taking care of the child. The spirit and intimate guest of all this charm, the sweetness is priestess and its reveries muse. The spirit and intimate guest. See, the spirit is there always, the intimate guest. She has taken a human birth. The soul has entered into birth, and therefore it has become a guest in humanity. He has come here as a guest of all this charm. It loves that thing. The sweetness is priestess, and its reverie is muse. This is that growing child, psychic. This beauty, and who is the cause of this thing? Of course, he has told. Awful Godhead of all these things. Invisibly protected from our sense. You see, there is an inbuilt protection against the baby, against the child. Invisibly protected from the near ones, from parents, from intimate friends. Everybody will look after the child, but we don't know what kind of things we are throwing on the child. Yet there is a sort of an inbuilt protection for it. Invisibly protected from our sense. The triad lives drenched in a deeper ray. See, again, as I was telling you, this is the description of a tree in a forest, and therefore the triad. Triad is the tree nymph. Tree nymph. Leaves drenched. Nymph. Nymph. Nymph, that is NYMPH. Yeah. Woman who is born from waters, and she resides in trees. She resides in trees. The triad lives where? Drenched in a deeper ray. This is a very unusual kind of a triad. She has come here like a dryad, and she is constantly under the rain of light and sunshine, drenched in a deeper ray, and feels another air of storm and calm, and quivers inwardly with mystic ray. What a poetry, you see. All the while the dryad is absorbing rain, sunshine, love, beauty, joy, and merrily she is there in the forest. So this is a kind of a transferred description